Hello and welcome to today's video. My name is Rita, this is my channel 10 Red Lipsticks, and this is my next update for my No Pan Left Behind project pan, where I'm trying to use every shade of eyeshadow that I own this year. Apologies, I am a bit hoarse, my voice isn't the best, but we're going to plow ahead. I was busy singing yesterday at choir practice and on Tuesday at a performance, so I am all sung out, all talked out, but we're gonna plow ahead because I need to get this video done. So my last update was for all the shades that I used or all the palettes that I completed and singles that I used in January and February. So this update should be for March and April, but there wasn't really enough to talk about, so I've combined from the 1st of March to mid-June, which is a bit ridiculous, but anywho, that's what we're going to do. So this is everything that I used in March, April, May, and the beginning of June. Excuse me. We're going to do this update ranking style. So I'm going to start at the bottom. We've got 13 palettes to talk about today. Excuse me. And I am ranking them just based on my enjoyment of using them in this project. So this isn't which palettes are the best overall, but which palettes I had the most fun using No Pan Left Behind style in this project on this occasion. So it's very much my personal preference, and bigger palettes kind of do get a boost up because, you know, I sat with them for a few days, whereas small palettes I often knock them out in one day, so I wasn't really thinking about them that much. So those are my disclaimers out of the way. Let's get going. I will show looks. I think I have looks with everything. I don't need to show a look with this one though, because I'm wearing 4 shades from it today. At the bottom we've got Essence Dancing Green. I first used this palette to go with some singles, I think. So I just wasn't fully cohesively thinking of this palette like a palette. Obviously today I used a lot of shades and I do really enjoy it, but green isn't my favourite colour story. I think this palette is really fun and I love the compact, like the little mirror. I think that's just so clever. There's you. So yeah, like it, but didn't love it this time around. So it is in 13th place. Next up is the Catrice Kacki. This is the 5 in a box 070 in elegant khaki look. So today I'm wearing this green. Yeah, I used kind of all the neutrals in here, the pink and the neutrals in one look, and really liked it, but I just didn't think about it that much. And this isn't my favourite colour story of the Catrice 5 in a box. I think it's nice, I think it's cool because you can do a kind of green and gold look, and you can do a pink look, or you can do a look with them all mixed together. Obviously inspired by the Natasha Denona mini retro, but actually quite a different colour story to that. But yeah, not the most exciting palette, so it was hard for it to compete against some of the rest. So in 11th place, we've got the Natasha Denona Mini Nude. This is ridiculous because probably tomorrow I'm going to upload a video introducing the palettes that I'm going to be working on for June and August, and this is one of them. But I filmed that video a few days ago and I just completed this palette the other day using the last shade that I had left to use. So I was like, I'm just going to straight away talk about it in this, because then it'll be hard for me to even remember what to say about it in August when I do that next update. So this palette is boring. It's fine. I don't think it's worth it. I don't love it. These aren't my neutrals. You know, these warm neutrals are less my thing than cool neutrals are. I really like this centre shade, and it's a great inner corner highlight with the Natasha Denona Bronze palette, which doesn't have a shade light enough for that for me. But other than that, I find this palette really boring, and yeah, I always have, and it didn't impress me this time around either. Though I did use this shade on my lid with a majority cool tone look, and I quite enjoyed that. Yeah, I thought that was fun and a bit different, and if it weren't for this project I wouldn't have done that, so I'm very glad to have it in this project. Next up in 10th place we've got, and I think this is better than the Natasha Denona Mini Nude, even though it's very similar, the Catrice 5 in a box 010 Golden Nude look. I will show you them side by side. They're obviously not exact dupes or anything. That's not a good way to show it. Whoop. So here on the right is the Catrice, and there on the left is the Natasha Denona. Let me show, there's another similar Catrice, which is the Warm Spice look. Whoop. So yeah, on the right, Catrice Golden Nude look, in the middle, Natasha Denona, or on my right, so I guess you're, no, anyway. On this side, Catrice Golden Nude look, in the middle, Natasha Denona Nude, and on that side, Catrice Warm Spice look. So the nude is kind of in the middle of the two of them. Flip it. Anyway, it's fine. It didn't break. So yeah, it's just boring. This is boring, but it's so cheap and it's so good and easy, and they're a bit less warm. Like I feel like this shimmer and this dark brown and this matte are a bit less warm than their counterparts in the nude. Obviously these two are very warm, but so I just find this suits me and my colouring and my undertone a bit better than the Natasha Denona. I didn't buy the Natasha Denona full price. I got it in on Depop or something, or Vinted or whatever, so I'm fine with what I paid for it, but if I'd paid full price for it, I would be really annoyed. But now Natasha Denona's mini line has expanded and there's loads of cool tone options as well, so I wouldn't even consider buying it now, to be honest. Next up, another little neutral 5 pan. This is the Wet n Wild Colour Icon in Walking on Eggshells, the famous Walking on Eggshells. I love this shade, this centre shade, which I think was called Eyelid back in the day. It's like this shell pink thing. It's just beautiful. So yeah, just a really easy go-to, really flattering colours. The formula I think is lovely. I have very oily eyelids, so it's really hard for things, for shadows to stand up to how oily my eyelids are and how deep my crease is. So it doesn't necessarily rise to the occasion to last through the day, but I think that it is still a lovely formula, and definitely if you don't have such oily skin, probably lasts fine on you. Next up, in 8th place, the Zoeva Together We Shine. This is the mini version. I have several Zoeva colourful palettes, and I always wanted them to come out with a rosy neutral palette, and they did with this. I was very tempted to buy the full size. I didn't because it still only had 3 shimmers, and the mini has 3 shimmers, so the mini suits me fine. Really nice. I think I did 2 looks with this, and yeah, really like it. Used it in conjunction with another palette for one of the looks. It's just easy breezy, everyday, really nice cohesive colour story with a little bit of variety, because you have, you know, the pinker shimmers and the warmer shimmers, so you can kind of put it in different directions if you want, which I really enjoy. And for a little 6 pan, I think that's really nice, you know, for travel. Next up, this is the Bobbi Brown Pink Glow Luxe eyeshadow palette. So this is a quad. It was limited edition of the Baked Gilet special topper shades. I was looking at the Powerpuff Girls quad is reduced in Selfridges, and I was looking at it and then I'm like, no, get control of yourself. This is beautiful and special and really lovely, but I don't need more of the same thing. Next up is the Lacura quad, which was my Project Level Up Level 2 palette. So I used this an enormous amount. To be honest, this might be higher in the ranking if it wasn't in Project Level Up, because it just, like, it took over 30 uses to hit pan in this matte, which pushed my patience a little, especially when I was wanted to get through more palettes, and I did not get through enough palettes in the last 4 months. So we'll talk about the numbers in a minute, but definitely this taking so long did delay me. But yeah, this palette's amazing. I actually think they might be back in Aldi at the minute in Britain and Ireland. So it's a dupe for the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk quad, and yeah, really like it. Really enjoyed using it, and then just at the end I wished I was able to move on to get through some of my other palettes, but I still really enjoyed it and I really like the colours and everything. Next up, another sparkly topper palette. So this is the Urban Decay Moondust palette. I just bought this in February, and yeah, I really like these shades. This is probably my favourite. These two are my favourite. So Cosmic Space Dust, the taupey one, and Wild Dipper Rides Again, the pinky one. Space Cowboy is probably my least favourite in the palette, because it is the warmest. And then Star Cowgirl, I thought was great, like inner corner highlight and things. So yeah, really enjoyed that. It is quite similar colouring to the Bobbi Brown. I now have shimmer all over my fingers, so I'm trying to do this without ruining my dress. Ooh. Yeah, so there's the colour story of the two, quite similar because you've got a taupe, a pinky, a warm, and a kind of very light shimmer in both. I swatched them side by side, I think, for Instagram, so I'll put that picture up. But yeah, I think the Moondust kind of won out because of the novelty. It's new to me, but they're both beautiful. Really, really nice. That's the Moondust there, out of order. But anyway, next up in 4th place, we've got one of my favourite palettes of all time, the LA Girl Pro Mastery. I adore this palette. I think it just has a stunning colour story that suits me down to the ground. The texture of the shimmers is, you know, they're flakier, they're more reflective than your average shimmer. They do take a bit of work, but I think they're worth it. I think they're absolutely stunning. And I love the mattes in here as well. These pinks and these neutrals are just my ideal colour story. So yeah, I really enjoyed this. I did a few looks with just this palette, and then I think I used it with the Zoeva to kind of knock out the last few shades to get it ready for this video. In 3rd place, we have the Tartelette Jewel palette. So this is just stunning. I bought it. A number of creators said they really enjoyed it, but particularly Lauren May Beauty, and said that these shimmers were kind of special for Tarte. And yeah, this is just like, this and the Zoeva are very similar in terms of, they are both really good travel 6 pans where, you know, you can do one elaborate look, but you can also do a couple of slightly different, more simple looks. So like rosy and a warm tone. You can do like rosy mauvey thing. You could do a more neutral cool tone thing. You can combine them all together. So they're both excellent travel palettes, and yeah, I really, really enjoyed using this, and I love the looks that I got with this. I think I did something a little more dramatic with this shimmer, which is just so beautiful, so beautiful. In 2nd place, we have another one of my very favourite palettes, the Natasha Denona Mini Gold. Oh, it's just such a winner, such a winner. Like that, look at that. You know, if you're going to wear gold, make it something spectacular. Yeah, absolutely love this. In my project 333, where I'm trying to use only 33 items of clothing for 3 months, I have a green dress, which I actually haven't worn yet, and a green jumpsuit, which I've worn the green jumpsuit a lot, and I definitely enjoyed pairing this with, the green jumpsuit. Let me get some coffee here. Tea is always a good idea, but so is coffee too. So in 1st place, we've got the BH Cosmetics Love in London. This was rolled into my deck of panning, and I decided to use a Project Level Up style to have it work for this project too. I love this palette. Like, I could kind of do without this row and just have these cool neutrals. But like, this light blue is lovely. The final shade I had to use was this purple, which I used the other day. I'll put the look up. But yeah, I absolutely love this. The formula is gorgeous. Like, the shimmers are so smooth. Let me just swatch a couple of them for you. I probably have other shades on my fingers, but like smooth. They're not that like sparkly individual pieces kind of shine. They're like the whole thing is shine. And I love the packaging and I love the format. A bit too blue heavy for me, but I was able to deal with that, and particularly no pan left behind style, as opposed to, you know, trying to hit pan or whatever. Just to use those shades once was fine, and the rest of the palette more than made that worth it for me. So yeah, I absolutely loved that. Okay, I'm gonna go wash my hands and then we'll talk about some singles. So for singles, these 4 months, I was about to say this month, I used 3 individually potted singles and 15 magnetic pans. My brain was just like metallic was the only M word I could think of. So I used the Essence Sprinkled Chrome in Mars, which looks like this. I won't swatch all of these, but I'll swatch these 3 single potted shadows. NABLA Rosa, which I tried to get this out with a magnet. I assume the pan is magnetic, but I think it is glued into this packaging, unfortunately, which is this pale pink. Excuse me. I think this was with the Lacura quad, the pink matte that I was trying to hit pan on, that I used these 3 pink excuse me. So I think it was with the Lacura matte where I was trying to hit pan that I used these 3 pink shades. But yeah, Lotus from Lime Crime, it's definitely special. It's a bit fragile. It was broken in the pan when I got it, so I keep its little plastic protector on it. I smushed it back together and I think it's fine, but a bit fragile, and maybe one day I will scrape some of it out and press it into a magnetic pan so I can add it to BYOPs, which would be nice. Next up, 6 singles from Glaminatrix. So this is essentially Glimmering Creatures Volume 1, at least these 5 are. And then this one here is Robin from Glimmering Creatures Volume 2, which I think this would have made more sense as the Glimmering Creatures Volume 1 collection of shades. Kitten from Volume 1, the bright pink, I think would fit more into Volume 2. And Robin, this light pink, I think would fit more with Volume 1. But anywho, really beautiful. Love all of these. I really enjoyed the look I did with Mink. I really enjoyed using Robin. They're just, I can't make those be side by side. Oh, I can make them be far apart from each other though. And sure, I'll just swatch all of them for you. There's Robin, there's Mink, and then amongst these, I'm not sure what's Fox, Bear, etc. No, sorry. Yeah. Oh, I'm all confused. Anyway, lovely, lovely shades. So the shades I used are Robin, Fox, Lion, Panda, and Mink. And a 5th one, or 6th one, which I don't have listed here, but I just checked photos and I definitely did use it, so I will include that. And then the actual BYOP that I was working on in this time was the Sydney Grace. So I did a big Sydney Grace order and I built this palette. So I will pop up all of the shade names. Sorry, it'll be this way around for the shade names. Yeah, absolutely beautiful, cool tones. Let me see, we've got Tiara, Troops, and just so my vibe, absolutely so my vibe. I love Sydney Grace's formula. I think it's phenomenal and I really enjoyed using these very, very much. So that comes to a total of 105 pans that I used from March to mid-June. in just January and February I used £155, and then in nearly 4 months I used, you know, only 60% of what I'd used in it's a bad mental estimation of percentage of what I'd used in 2 months at the start of the year. So I definitely need to massively speed up to get this project finished this year. Project Level Up obviously is slightly in conflict with this in terms of you can really see the impact in January and February. I was working on a shade from the Beauty Bay Neutral 42 palette, this really big palette up here, and I think it took like 13 uses to hit pan. And in the time period we're talking about now, I was working on this Lacura quad, and I hit pan pretty quickly in this shimmer, but it took 31 uses to hit pan in this matte. So obviously that had an impact on how many other shades I was able to use. You know, I generally used that as a transition for a kind of pinky look, hence some of the pink and the cool tone shimmers in the singles. But yeah, so it definitely had an impact, so I need to reassess and make sure that I am continuing to work my way through the rest of my palettes to get this project to be a success this year. I just wanted to also tell you about more singles that I'm working on. So that Sydney Grace order, I essentially placed it to get this. So they had this amazing deal where if you spent a certain amount, you got these shadows for free. So this huge collection of singles I got completely for free. Obviously I had to pay for the £9. I had to pay for the Mountain Trail palette that I bought, though it was half off as well. But then I got this for free, and I have been working my way through these shades. So I'll put up on the screen how many of them I have used so far, but I am hoping to work on this. It's not really a BYOP, like A, I didn't put the colour story together, and B, it's not necessarily meant to be fully cohesive, but I think you can see they've organized it in a way where it is easy. You know, you want to do something warm tone, you want to do something pinky, you want to do something neutral or green, you want to do something blue. They've organized it in a way that's easy to follow, but it's not necessarily meant to be a BYOP where you have, you know, 18 cohesive looks in here. It is a pretty random selection of shades that they were discontinuing or had too many of or whatever. So apologies if you can hear the siren in the background or any other background noise. There is constant building work going on. There are constant planes overhead. We're doing our best. So yeah, I didn't talk about this in my update of the palettes that I will be working on for the next 6 weeks, but this is kind of like the selection of singles that I am trying to work my way through at the moment. It'll probably take longer than those 6 weeks to get them all in, especially some of those more challenging blues and greens. But yeah, really like this. So worth it to me to get this, and it's what I will be working on next. So I will put up on the screen what percentage I am through my collection. We're at about the halfway point of the year, and I'm definitely not halfway yet, so I have a huge amount of work to do on this project. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned. Tomorrow I will have my introduction of the palettes that I am working on for June and July up until August. I think I said the end of August earlier, but I meant the start of August. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!